I'm obsessed with the methods and techniques throwers use to prepare their spine and shoulders for sport, and I think there's a lot there that can help the everyday person become a weapon. In today's episode, I've invited a leading expert in the field to share invaluable strategies that will help you do this.
Like I say, I guess like if it was a throw-in day for strength where we talked on the phone about like pullovers and some hanging drop-in stuff.
Yeah, so I always kind of like when we go through it, we'll start with like just getting loose with like some static mobility.
Cool.
Sometimes we might do a dynamic warm-up before or whatever, but mostly just start with dynamic mobility and then we get into the strength through length stuff like afterwards. So,
Sweet.
Strength through length, like obviously it's a big part of what you do and stuff, but like for us, it's always about how can we provide a new stimulus to the body to like get stronger in the end range of motion or get into a new range of motion that's harder to get into when you're just using your body weight. So, we'll start with some upper body, some spine stuff, body weight with bands,
Cool.
and then progress to some with weights.
Yeah, and I would say the throwers showcase the use of that end range. Because there's always that discussion I get a lot where people are like, well, why do I need, do I actually need strength in that range? It's like, well, a lot of people potentially don't need strength in that range for like day-to-day things or certain types of sports, but what happens when you're exposed to it? That's always my argument, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you're exposed to those ranges, but throwers are using those ranges, and that's
Absolutely.
what I love about it.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too, is we talk about it all the time, but let me see your throwing arm real quick. You're a righty or a lefty?
I'm a righty.
Yeah, but even with this, I like to see how good is the external rotation in the shoulder, right?
My external rotation's my worst.
Yeah.
Like my pecs.
Yeah, because you could feel it. It's either the pec or the lat that's locking you up. Mm-hmm. And then check out my arm.
Yeah.
Pull it back. So you see how you're getting the...
Well, you have active range there too. You're actually moving it back.
Yeah, because you can see you got the ER.
Yeah, and is yours the same on both sides, or is it
My left arm's probably a little worse. You try it.
It's not bad.
It's definitely worse, but you can see it's because it's all about, it's coming from the T-spine too.
Yeah.
But then it's if you're locked up in the pec minor and then in the lat, that's not going to allow you to rotate freely. And then that's why someone like me tore my UCL, was because when I was 19, I came from a football background and all I did was just pound the weights all the time. I had no relaxation in my arm, but then no external rotation. So then when I'm pulling through, I'm throwing with my arm here.
Right.
So the UCL is getting all of the impact versus throwing from back here like I do now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
that'd probably be good to prep with something like that for me.
Yeah.
And that's actually another one too, right? Is when you go into those ranges, running, throwing, there's moments of relaxation that occur.
Yeah.
That's where that passive range of motion.
The relaxation is huge for sure. But all right, so I'll just start up. You want to just go this way?
Yep.
Or side by side or
Sure.
what? So I always like to start with a forearm stretch like this, kind of reverse grip. This is boring stuff right here, but
people need to see the boring stuff, because this is the stuff that often, the lack of preparation before getting into a session to use some of these things is super overlooked.
Yeah.
And it's not the content that drives engagement sometimes, right? So you show them the good stuff and say, make sure you prep.
Yeah, but it's a big thing too, is I always like to look at what's going to kill as many birds with one stone as possible, because I don't know, I'm not a big fan of having to do mobility for an hour a day every session, because as throwers, that's the thing, is we're big into plyometrics, we're big into running, we're big into throwing, obviously, we're big into lifting, and we're big into mobility. So then at what point are you going to be able to just do all of them at 100%? So you need to be able to find what's going to work for you to warm up quick. So when I'm doing even cat-cow and stuff, is doing it reverse grip like this. I'm hitting my forearms a little bit more than normal.
That's right.
And then I like to go here too, just because with the forearm, just loosening up the wrists, because that's where you get a lot of elbow pressure there from throwing when you're not.
This is
when your wrists aren't warmed up.
Reminds me a lot of the gymnastics prep.
Yeah, and then we'll go.
I get into.
I like to go rolling down, keeping the fist closed.
Well, that's a huge one, right? Because then you're going to get the extensors a lot more when you keep that fist closed.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just like the forearm is one of those things too, where like when you're at a certain point, when you're able to just do this and stretch, it's like no one really knows how to like do anything more than this.
Right.
But it's like, when you get on the ground and you're going fist closed, fist open, you're going reverse grip, even like bear sit,
Yeah.
shoulder taps, just like try to get creative with it.
Yeah, that reverse grip really hits your elbows too.
Yeah, because that's the big thing for me is like my elbow. We talked about the surgery. I heard it power cleaning like a month ago, and it's all about just like load management, working through it, continuing to train, but
how do you
finding ways to like level it up while it's maybe less than ideal. But like you see, it's like now that I have the ability to like relax my arm and get into better external rotation now compared to when I first had the surgery, it's still like just way better than it was prior.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right, so then just go into some back bridge stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, you need warm up for it, or like what do you do, Cobra or what?
Well, let me see what you do and see.
So I'll just start like after that, you're warming up the T-spine a little bit, and then we just go here.
Nice. He's got a very accessible range in his bridge. That's one thing I love about watching the throwing content too, is like a lot of times you'll just be watching the warm up and preparation. They just get down in bridges and they start pushing up into it. I usually do more preparation to get into my bridge. I don't know if it's because I'm getting a bit older, but let me see where I'm at with it.
Glasses off.
Glasses gotta come off, bro.
Nice.
It feels alright, actually.
Looks pretty good. The big thing too is like, what I noticed for myself is like when my, because of the elbow surgery and stuff, like when my forearm is super locked up and tight, what actually helps is doing the back bridge presses, because it's like while you're simultaneously stretching out your forearm, you're also pressing up and down. So it's like you're working a full range while there's like that constant tension on the wrist.
Yeah.
And so
I think this is what appealed me to throwers and javelin throwers, like their training, because obtaining a back bridge was a feat for me.
Yeah.
Like power lifter, like my spine didn't move. Like I remember the early stages, like what you just saw there, like my wife would have had to have lifted up my back and, been there to support her. I would have been collapsing. But as I got good at a bridge, was like, how can I use this? Because I think that's the limit for people when they see back bending, back bridging movements. They think yoga and this like one way thinking of like, oh, it's just a yogi thing. But it's like, man, like you guys use it. And then how could that just help you understand your body better and like moving into that position? So like that's the thing for me is like I've been using my back bridging sessions more as this approach to like moving in my bridge. And like obviously some of the content that's getting shared too, like throwing is blowing up in terms of engagement too, is like you see some of like the overhead throws going into like extreme active extension. Crazy.
Yeah, definitely the reverse Nordic curl throw. That one's big. Yeah. Sissy squat throw is another big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big thing too is like I was saying, it's about like what we love is killing multiple birds with one stone. Is like I said, when you're doing the bridge, you're hitting the forearms, which help the elbows. You're hitting the wrists. You're hitting the scaps. You're hitting the spine, and then even like the hip flexors in the front. And then the same thing when you look at like the thrower stretch and stuff like that. You're working on that final position, where you're working on the spine, the rotation, you're working on the front split position pretty much. Like you're able to do a lot of different movements where if you just sit down and you do, 90-90 for X amount of time, that's great, but it's like you're pretty much only doing your hips.
Yeah.
It's like I like to be able to 20 minutes, you know, do as much as I can in that 20 minutes and then move on because we got a lot of other stuff to focus on. And, you know, that's where someone like me who I was really tight, really injury prone. I was coming off of a surgery. Like after that, I lost like 30 pounds and I went 3 months full blown mobility style. And it's like after that, I've been able to pretty much just maintain what I have and progress it through just like about 20 minutes a day of just checking the boxes off and doing what's intentional and using that strength through length style. Because like I said, it's just when we have so many different training modalities to hit, it's like mobility, we're trying to bang it out.
Yeah, mine was quite similar. I've mentioned that a few times. People ask me questions about integrating into their training. You definitely can, but if again, you're limited, like severely, taking 3 to 6 months to bring those limitations up, it's so much easier to integrate this stuff and get into that like more flow style.
Yeah, we could head into how's your lower body stuff, like your hips? Good?
Really good, I'd say.
All right, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound too confident and then be like, okay.
No, I mean, it's just because I don't know what your normal prep looks like, so I don't want to jump into anything too fast. But I mean, I have
a knee pad too if you need it, but
no, I'm good. I'm not going to do too much of this. I like to like rock into it. Get some, like you said, with the back bridge, like a little bit of movement. The left side's always worse because that's my block leg. So you could see that the left hip flexor for me is definitely tighter, which leads to my QL on the left side being a little banged up.
It's just an overuse thing. Most people have that like kind of dominating side, right? Like you're leaning to one side throughout the day. And I mean, this is the good kind of prep too, right? That when people do think about like some daily things that you might do, it might not be a bridge, but just getting down, limbering up into a squat, rotating a little bit. It doesn't take too long to do this kind of shit.
No. Do you ever know Mind Pump? You know them?
I know their media or their content, yeah.
Yeah, like they have the podcast.
Yeah.
They had this thing a few years ago. I used to really listen to them a lot more, but they had this thing called Squat and Scroll.
Yeah.
Where they like tried to just get people like squat like this and just sit on their phone. It's like if you're gonna sit on your phone, just do it in the bottom of the squat.
Yeah.
And just try to get your heels on the ground.
More time on the ground.
ATG.
Yeah.
And just get comfortable here. How heavy is that?
14 pounds.
Probably do body weight first. But yeah, then you're just here, reverse Nordic curl.
No big deal.
So I like to just go like hips extended forward and then belly button forward.
Yeah.
And then head back. And then after like 2 of those, I'll try to go like just flat to get a little bit more of the...
Yeah, that's good to point out, right? Because the reverse Nordic, there's variety in it.
Yeah.
Yogis call that back bend one the camel, I believe, where you're
well, it's like so.
Stand back.
Think about like someone like me.
Spine extension.
I'm 6'3". My spine mobility is like really good.
Yeah.
So for me, like leaning my head back like that and bringing my belly button forward. I mean, there's an element to that that's important.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not using my lower body as much as I could if I were to keep my legs a little bit straighter, or keep my spine a little bit straighter and not cheat with the neck at all.
Now for me, reverse Nordics, I have no ACL in this leg, are like the one that feels the most limited. I still work on hero pose, it's a little more of a passive ROM. And, but the spinal extension one, I've worked quite hard on. It alleviates some of that pressure on my knee because I'm moving my spine, right? Whereas like some people would be like, oh, you don't move that way. It's like, well, this works for me because that's like, but I may need a spot on the first 1 or 2. And what I usually do if someone does spot me is they just kind of hold here.
You want me to?
I mean, just if it's there, it gives me a little bit more confidence to lean back into it. So when I think about this, I really try to get that sternum and T-spine moving a bit more before I bend back. I'm trying to by myself now.
Nice.
Not bad for 41, bro.
No, not bad for 41 at all.
But like, what I'll show you a progression I like because the extended, the strict Nordic is a little shittier on my knee. I've been kind of progressing, and obviously I work with a lot of people that are a little more fucked up too with this kind of stuff. I've been doing segments like this, and I'll use a counterbalance weight, which a lot of people don't think about when they do the, it's almost like a pistol squat or something like it.
Yeah.
It kind of helps provide the assistance as I go down, but now I can get a little more into posterior pelvic tilt. This keeps me counterbalanced. Segment, and then roll back. And that just takes, obviously, the lever's a lot shorter, so I don't have to go right into my knee tendon as much.
Yeah.
And I can segment my spine, and because the key to the strict reverse Nordic is understanding that posterior pelvic tilt. That keeps your hips set more into the quad. That's been working for me, and that's just being old.
Yeah.
And having a fucked up knee, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it though. You gotta find what's gonna push you to your limit and like be able to progress it. I mean, I look at that like with the split stuff that I see you do, because like I can't do any of that stuff really well, but that's because I haven't spent like enough time like doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, you see how you could progress it with using like the blocks and the sliders.
You must have a
and the
good
wood.
long lunge, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. We could get into it in a second if you want, but
Yeah.
you use that.
I see a long lunge being very applicable to.
Yeah, well, that's like, I mean, with the thrower stretch, right? It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I mean, I'm wearing sneakers now, but it's like, if I'm able to get like here, right?
He's like, oh, my split's not good.
So if I'm able to get like here, right? And then it's like you're in that throwing position where you're gonna have like right arm behind you, left arm long out in front of you. That's kind of like that throwing stance where when you do the
It's kind of like a long lunge variation.
yeah.
Would you
So
call
it's
this anything like? Is this just the thrower stretch? Is that what you call it?
No, this is like definitely more of like an extreme position, but then like once you bring it up a little bit more,
Right.
it's like I just like to have my throwers feel comfortable here before we do anything else, because if you're not comfortable like in this longer position, then you're not going to be comfortable going into a block like full speed.
I'm right into the old time literature, like going back and reading some of the old books, and they had a lot of principles and ways of training that get overlooked, but there's this one book. It's probably the best book on performing the old time bent press. Like, it's a lost technique, like no one does it like that anymore, and that's how they did crazy amounts of weight. But in this book, he's like, just do your good arm. It's like, don't even train the other side. So he's just like, no fucks given. He's like, who cares? You're gonna be stronger. Just do your good arm. You can imagine people just doing like 300-pound bent presses on one side and not even touching the other.
That's how it is with the when we try to do the reverse throws. The kids are always like, oh, should I do my left side? And I'm like, nah, don't worry about it. Because like we're just doing it just to warm up like the posterior chain and the rotator cuff, and then. I mean, like, you're not throwing with your left arm, so it doesn't matter.
I want to be rotating that way, right?
Yeah, so then now take this right hand and put it up and then rotate around like that. Yeah, there you go. It's pretty good.
Damn.
This was what I was telling you about the other day when we were talking. But so like when I was younger, like I was saying, I got my mobility program, and I was like back bridge, reverse Nordic curl, sissy squat. I was like, cool, that was awesome. And I love doing those because I was like, those were ones that like after a week, I was like, dude, I'm good at these, you know? But then as I started getting into my older years of like training and coaching, I started dabbling in like the baseball side of stuff. And it was like thrower stretch was always on my program, but I wasn't good at it. So I kind of just didn't, it wasn't, yeah, which what we just did. Like, so like front leg out with the throwing arm behind you and the back leg soft, which is exactly like when we're going to throw. It's that same position of soft back foot, straight block leg, arm behind you. So like that position in the stretch was uncomfortable for me. So I just didn't focus on it as much. And all I did was work on my bilateral stance mobility. And then as I got older and like I said, I started doing more research and training and realizing like that thrower stretch is so important because that's the position that we use when we throw, and using that unilateral mobility. And then also instead of just back squatting it, because like I was like, you know, I had 465 back squat at like 20 years old, had like a
That's impressive for 6'3".
Yeah, 565 deadlift at, you know, like 21. Like this is all like that first year after surgery. I made a complete change, but it was like I was still training in the bilateral stance all the time. So then I never did like a reverse lunge. I never did the thrower stretch. And so that's where to me, then I went out that season and competed. And it was like my elbow felt good, but then my back started lighting up. And like my back started lighting up because my hip flexor was really tight. And then that caused my QL to like really not be as strong. And that's when I realized like, as a coach and stuff, it's like, you got to have your athletes be able to work on the unilateral stuff too, because that's more important than
rather than just like practicing the throwing.
Yeah.
Spend some time.
Yeah.
Like isometrics and
isometrics are
understanding
huge
of that position. Yeah.
And that's where too, like even with certain kids, like I'll have them throw like starting on a knee and then throw like in a thrower stretch, and then you start like back foot and then you go kind of like into the, we call it the corkscrew drill, but then you're progressing, right? Just like we progress stuff in the weight room, we progress stuff with mobility, we progress stuff with throwing. So I'll literally have kids just like start on one knee and get comfortable here and just throw, because a lot of kids will like just have a super, super narrow stance and they try to like over rotate their body and stuff. And it's like getting them comfortable throwing from here to then, like from here to then from here.
When you actually get into stretching too, it's the same thing. You're finding a position that you can work from, and then you're going to start moving that into a more active, higher intensity position over time.
Yeah.
And it goes hand in hand with like that thought process of people say, oh, well, I can touch my toes.
Yeah.
It's like, well, can you actually reach down and stay there for a little bit? Like when I talk to people, and it's like there's a huge difference between owning a position and being able to move in that position. And it's like there's, you know, same as that thrower stretch. It's like you're going to throw in it and probably work on those technical qualities that happen within a split second. But what happens if you can now hold and understand this position for 10, 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Under strength and flexibility. Now you understand what your potential is there.
Yeah.
Right?
This is just kind of like, you know, after you warm up with the back bridge, warm up with the reverse Nordic curl, and then, you know, we have the thrower stretch, which is going to be some, you know, cool stuff there. But then I like to always hit the sissy squat here, where we're just working on being nice and relaxed and stable on the way down, and then going into the bend, and then the press, and then you hold it here at the top for a little bit, and then try to find your way back up. So yeah,
very nice.
That's why, like I was saying, it's like that drill, I just hammered that for so long because I felt like I was good at it and it was cool and it was unique, and I just ignored all the stuff that was, you know, super, super important for throwing, like the thrower stretch and actually learning how to throw better.
Right. Your preparation was there, and then it was like wrestling prep, I think, is the account. She does really, you ever see them, the wrestlers?
I think
they're on
so.
the padded mats and they're like running in a bridge and shit.
Yeah.
But she does a similar one from a deep knee bend. So they come down like this, and then all at once they extend back into their
Is
bridge.
it fast?
It's not super fast actually.
So you're just like, kind of like
You're into more of a deep knee bend, and you can be on your toes, like however it feels. I think they are actually from their toes. And then hands they do it a little more this way, which I was taught as well too with back bends, is that go into your back bend like this rather than this. And that's what they do. They'll arch up and come around like this.
Yeah, well that actually makes sense, because I always say that like when you go to throw, it's actually easier to access like that proper arm slot by coming up underneath, which is like what a lot of baseball players do, and they're here and they come up, versus javelin. You're holding a spear and then people will draw back over the top. And then a lot of people, just for the camera's sake, but like a lot of people will draw back and then their hand will be like out this way, which is like, if anything, you want it back behind you here. So when you rotate, you can get your chest like over the top and throw.
Yeah, what I've been doing, just because I'm not confident to do it from the floor yet, is I'll do it here, so I'm closer to the wall. So I'm coming down into my deep knee bend, and then trying to all at once, when I come up, and bend into the wall. Let me just try one second.
That was good.
It allows you to get some reps in. But you see how my spine kind of like went like that?
Yeah.
And that's what I've been finding. It's pretty cool compared to the sissy squat, because it's making you almost do like a segment. Like I have to segment from there. I don't know if you want to try that.
So stay tall, straight line, hands underneath.
You're gonna try it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Should I just do what I'm comfortable with, you think? And go overhead instead of coming underneath?
This should be easier.
All
Because
right.
if you think about it, you're closer to the floor.
Yeah.
Because look, if I have to go here versus
Yeah.
technically I'm right there, right? I don't know if you want to try it with the wall first to get a feel for it, but
Nah. Let's try it this way.
I love it. It's that thrower mentality. Fuck yeah, I'm doing
Wait,
it.
am I on my toes or no?
Yeah, it's a deep knee bend.
All right.
But I think it's also not like full depth either. It's like right about there.
Right here.
Hold there for a while and let your hips extend first. Oh, dude. That was butter.
All right, let me try to get one smoother. I'm gonna try to go smoother on the way down.
Can you tell he's an athlete?
What?
I said, can you tell he's an athlete? I could do better. It's like my son Ronan, my older guy, you should see him, man. Like, I'll be like, man, that was a fucking great game. He was like, no, it was terrible. It was the worst ever. I was like, okay. Control. Yeah. Yeah. Does it feel smoother?
Yeah, it feels
But
good.
it feels like less work probably.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel it more.
The action of the hip.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, I could tell you, like, I don't do a lot of work. Like, you know, like that weighted butterfly position or like the Copenhagen dip. I haven't done a whole lot of that stuff the last like 6 months. So I could feel this position actually like opening up my hips more. Because a lot of, like I said, a lot of the stuff like I do is very front to back with like even like the regular sissy squat. It's a lot of psoas and like spine, and even the thrower stretch. Like it's not like this position, it's here and here. So I definitely feel that opening up like my hips a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, like I would be doing like a weighted butterfly type movement.
That's dope.
All right, you want to start moving into some of the weighted stuff?
Sure. And there's so much cool weighted stuff, like almost to the point where I'm like, I gotta stop scrolling through throwers weighted mobility because I'm like, there's too much.
Yeah.
Like, I want to try all of them, right? Because like, I mean, it's just the use of, there's the one there, Training Maniac shared,
Yep.
where it's just a windmill with dumbbells. And you're
Yeah,
just like,
no, that
so
was,
basic.
That was the first one I was gonna do.
Yeah, it's you know, you got the rotation. It's so basic. There's some details
Yeah.
there.
So
but
the
it
big
just
thing
looks
too is
fucking gnarly.
if you want to know the details of that, right? So we got.
Should be all right.
I'll be good. So you just see me firsthand doing it. I only do these backwards. I don't really like.
Is that because you're trying to open your pecs up more?
Yeah, the thing is, I just do a lot of pressing movements in the gym and stuff. So I use this as like, I mean, you could do it both ways, but just for me, like I like to use this as like just something going in the opposite direction, like a reverse throw. Because like I said, like if I'm doing all throwing forward or bench press or military press, it's always like that forward movement. So I try to do a lot of posterior stuff. So if I'm doing something like this, I mean, I throw enough that I get that motion throwing. So with that, I'm working on like just the posterior, but.
You're gonna fuck your shoulder, bro.
No, but so.
Do that at a commercial gym, people be like, ah.
Well, the big thing with this is like.
You're rotating.
Well, yeah, so we're going with a pelvic twist from the pelvis, and then you're going from a pelvic twist with the pelvis, and then you're using your spine. And so when my hip swivels forward, so if you're doing it forwards, it's like if your hand's back like this, my hip's gonna swivel forward, and then the hand will come through. So then I'm back, and then swivel, and then it comes through. So back and then swivel and then it comes through. So that way you're working on this idea of having the arm back and then you're swiveling the hip forward and then the hand comes through. So that's that hip shoulder separation that throwers go for. You ever heard the term before?
What term?
Hip shoulder separation?
Yep. More from like baseball.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh man. I'm gonna work these up to like too heavy. Would you go really heavy on these?
I could probably work up to like 30.
Yeah, it feels
if
really
I'm
good
not trying
though.
to push it.
I think that's the thing too with the mobility work is
So,
like, I mean, everyone's obsessed with control and stuff, but like no one ever moves into a velocity mindset with any of their mobility work. And this is where I see like the thrower stuff. It's like you start thinking about velocity work again. It's like, how do you reintroduce that?
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually do the forward one just to show you like kind of the hip swivel. So it's like here, you ever seen like the Conor McGregor?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I wanna be like almost relaxed like this with the upper body. So then I'm just like, I'm able to rotate. And then the hip, you see how the hip is gonna,
Right.
I'm bringing that hip forward and then that brings the arm forward. So it's just the only, like I'm not moving my arm. The only thing that's bringing my arm forward is the hip action. So it's just swivel and then through, swivel and then through, swivel and then through. And obviously you got like momentum and stuff working with you too, but that's where you see that video. It's like,
Yeah, your hips are
yeah, so you
moving
see the
dynamically.
motion is coming from the hips and the pelvis.
Let's try that.
And I could definitely feel more restricted in my left pec on that one too.
Mind the frame there?
Yeah, you're good. So when you're coming through, try to come through, because right now you're coming through like with your hand flat.
Oh, try like this.
Try to come through like here. Because then that right there will simulate the handle of the javelin coming forward. Might be a little easier too. Because you know, like when we're throwing the javelin, it's forwards. So that's where we're trying to get that arm slot to be similar.
Yeah, it's good.
Does that feel better?
Probably better to do one at a time.
Oh, my
Start,
bad. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things I feel like I keep going, but all of a sudden you get focused on the rhythm and like
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're thinking, and all of a sudden you're like, fuck, burn it.
Yeah. And then this will just do a nice little like dumbbell ER rotation. Just using the dumbbell to get
I mean,
into
everything we've been doing, I mean, this would probably take you, what, like 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have to stop and talk about it and stuff. Yeah. So that one, you don't got to do too many of those. It's pretty much like once you relax and get into the ER position a couple of times, you check the box off.
You're just thinking about, you're not thinking about stance or anything here?
No, I'm just trying to get the arm back. Yeah, actually pretty good. You can tell the weight helps you on this one.
Oh, that's fucking gnarly. This is my jack.
Which bicep? Yeah, this is the left one.
This is the jack side. Yeah. See how much I avoid rotation on that side?
Yeah. So,
Fuck.
what I was gonna say was like, when I'm doing all these, like feel my arm, like grab my wrist and shake my arm around. Like that's like the feeling I'm going for in my arm when I'm doing all these. So it's that like dead arm, like completely relaxed, like turned off. So yeah, you got it there. It's insane the amount of kids that I work with that like can't do that.
Stiff. Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I think it goes to show too that like as you get older, you start to learn how to have better control of your body too. Because it's like even me now, this is my first year that I haven't competed because like I've just been so involved with the business and the coaching side of things. But it's like my ability to do drills and demonstrate and like hit positions is at an all-time high because I mean, I'm 26. I've been doing it for, you know, seriously the last 5 years, right? And it's just like doing it for 5 years, day after day after day, talking about it, studying it, experimenting with it. It's like I'm better at doing it than a lot of the kids that are like in college that are actually doing this for 4 hours a day currently. And it's because of just time of learning how to move your body.
Yeah.
And I demonstrate it all the time.
Yeah.
And then you just learn the ability to like, all right, you have that mind to muscle connection and now you can actually turn the muscle off.
Right.
And learn how to like, when you do that hip swivel with the dumbbell, you can learn how to just dangle your arm and then turn it into a whippy throw.
Right.
You know, so that's what I've noticed about it. It's cool. It's like,
Do that again.
you want to do that again?
That's cool. Yeah. That's so cool.
Another one real quick that I like to do is, I call this like a half Arnold press, which is just like holding the dumbbells here and just trying to,
Half Arnold's.
yeah. So you're trying to get your shoulders out, hands out all the way out to the side, and you just keep your chest, you just roll your chest forward and scaps back. Yeah. How's that one feel?
I just crunchy as fuck. You really feel the
Your
scabs.
traps are huge.
Yeah? They have always been big. And funny going back to Fitness FX, I wanted big traps so bad, like stupid bad. Like I should have did more arms. But there was this old machine, it was just like a seated chest press. I wonder if he still has it because everyone used it for shrugs. It was all it was used for. It was just like, they didn't throw it out. Pin loaded, fucking just every session. I remember just blasting traps just because I just wanted big traps. I wanted a big neck. And it's like,
It's gone. Like a flat, like a supine one?
yep,
Yeah, that's gone.
it must be, but like
Definitely hammer strength.
that's
Huge.
all we used it for. Like, everyone just loaded it up and just did shrugs for days. So like, and funny when you go to gyms, you just take on the habits of like all the jack guys, young guy trying to like what's everyone doing, right? And like everyone would just finish. So I'm just like, right? And the neck blew up.
Dude, what's crazy to me is like, so I told you like I hurt my arm cleaning like a month ago or whatever, right? Because like with that deep elbow catch position, like I just have a lot of wear and tear and inflammation in my forearm from throwing a lot of times. And so it was just one of those things where like I threw the day before, was pretty inflamed, cleaned the next day and just caught it weird and it like popped. So I lost like all my range of motion was locked up here. But just doing so much movement the next like 3 weeks,
right.
I started working back into it. I got it worked on twice by a PT, started throwing again light, like 100 reps a day, but just super, super light and whippy. And it started coming back great. And then like I was able to kind of get back into cleaning just from moving it around a little bit. I got up to like 177 for 4, which is like nothing, but pounds, not kilograms, but like 177 for 4. And then it was like the next day I woke up and my traps were just obliterated because I hadn't done that movement in a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy how fast that like me not doing that for a month and then doing it like light like that, just coming back was like, it was the craziest trap workout I've ever done basically. And that wasn't even the focus.
And that's funny, you got, like, we had talked about that when we had a phone chat just about like, you know, sharing a little bit about injuries, because everyone, you know, the influencers nowadays are all about being injury free and bulletproofing, and it's just totally not the case for anyone that's actually working hard on most things.
Yeah.
We're all working through little things, but like that, when you work with enough people, it's just like the fight or flight of like feeling some kind of tweak or something is like, I got to stop everything. And it's just like hearing Daniel saying like, you know, 100 reps a day, working at that light intensity. It's like, that's the shit more people need to hear, is like, start finding a way to work on it right away. Like if you can extend your elbow and apply some pressure in a plank or whatever, start doing it right away. And that's like, even a lot of the good rehab is like, it's moved to that. It's like no more rice method. It's like, take that shit out,
method, dude.
Find something to do.
Yeah.
And like,
well, that's like what I was telling you too. Is like, I mean, you look at even today. Look at the difference in the range of motion in my arms. Right. It's like I am clearly limited on the right side, but I'm still doing the dumbbell ER. I'm still doing the back bridge and fully locking out. And it's like the only way that this is going to get back to normal is if I find the range of motion that I currently have, I push past it by 1%, and then I'll attain that extra 1%, and then I'll push past another 1%, and so on and so forth until it gets fully healed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. And I always like, this is why this kind of shit's good to like shoot content that's real and authentic, because like sometimes I'll try to like script out a post to like share that with someone, and it's just so hard. You can't. You have to have a conversation with someone else who's going through it, who's been there, and just like be real as fuck and just share like, yeah man, like you get those times that those things flare up or happen, and you work through it and you actually train almost harder sometimes.
Yeah.
Like anytime I've had a flare up, it's like every day I'll be doing something for that thing.
Yeah, it's like that's where your focus shifts, right? It's like for me, my focus was getting ripped for the summer and leaning out, and then this happened, and then it's like, all right, I'm doing an hour of arm care a day, you know?